Hey guys, welcome. Dr. Patrick Price here, and welcome to the show today. I am the body detective. So let's take a look at a couple things today. I have a PowerPoint for you today, and I'd like you to see why so many people are sick today and ill today. If you think your food is healthy, even if you're eating organic, let me show you a little bit about the history so you can understand where we are today. So follow me closely, guys. There's me. There's my dog Gator I used to have. There he is jumping in the air, catching a frisbee. Of course, all the animals today are getting sick because of some of the same reasons people are getting sick. So let's talk about GMOs. Now, just when you think you know about GMOs and know about what the difference is genetically modified foods and organic foods, let me give you some truth today. And the title today is What They Don't Want You to Know. So what does GMO mean? Genetically modified organisms, organisms that have been altered using genetic engineering techniques. Wasn't done by nature, it's done by man in ways that would never happen in nature, of course. Using DNA technology, the molecules are combined to create a set of genes, and then the altered DNA is transferred to give it new genes. Thus, GMOs are constituents of genetically modified foods. Are you with me so far? So let's talk about a little history here. All right, so see me at the screen here, guys? Isn't this just wonderful? You can see me and we can talk at the same time. Just look at a little bit what I'm showing you right here. We spend more money on healthcare than any country in the world. Yet other countries have had healthcare for free. Let's talk about Canada. I have doctors who are friends of mine that go to Canada and they're working in the free healthcare system. And it works. It may not be the fastest service in the world, but it's a free system. Other Arabic countries had free medical service. Libya with Gaddafi, before we killed him off, he had free medical, free school, free lodging, free. So what happened to us, the most powerful country in the world? Well, we pay for everything. School, we pay for medical, we pay high bills in electricity and gas and oil, but yet we're the most powerful country in the world. So in 1996, genetically modified food was introduced to the United States market. Now, little did you know that all this was going on, that it ended up on your plate. And look at it here, it says 1998, a coalition of scientists, religious leaders, and health professionals got together and said, hey, we don't like what's going on. They filed a lawsuit against the FDA and turned over 44,000 of internal government memos in the public domain. So that's basically what this report is for you guys today, is to let you know what actually took place. So what happened next? The story of a conspiracy, remember that word conspiracy, that runs right from the large food companies all the way to the government of the United States. It's the best kept secret. I have 21 years, but this is an old presentation, guys. But I've never given it to you live online, and that's why I want to show this now for you, because it's old stuff. But old stuff shows you what's happening right now with all the new stuff. And the tobacco industry, remember all that? Tobacco is safe, right? Well, this is the same situation that took place many years ago here. Up until 1944, the American Cancer Society said that no definite evidence exists between smoking and lung cancer. Was it conspiracy or was it truth? You tell me. It was not until 1967 that a Surgeon General report concluded that smoking is a principal cause of lung cancer. Now, it's not just the tobacco's fault, guys. What is done different is tobacco, unless it's organic, it has lots of chemicals on it. And there has been reports of uranium-filled water. We're talking radioactive material sprayed on tobacco plants as they're growing. Remember, this water and the plants are absorbing in there into little plant bodies here, all this radiation. Not to mention fungicides, insecticides, pesticides type stuff that goes into the industry, which causes havoc in itself. But the tobacco itself can cause irritation enough to cause cancer. So it took 4 decades for the population to finally figure out, hey, maybe this does cause cancer, right? Truth. Truth is the big tobacco companies knew it the whole time. They knew it caused cancer. They hid it. They protected it. How many people died because they believed and trusted the tobacco industry? Today, We don't have to look very far. It's a very similar situation right in front of your eyes. It's hidden within your food. Remember, guys, this is old news, but I want to bring it to you straight today from me to you. So we think in America, boy, we have the most wonderful food in the world, right? Now, don't go get upset at the farmers. It's not their fault. They have to follow rules and guidelines and regulations themselves. Have you heard someone say, I have a clean diet? Okay, what does that mean, clean? Did they wash their food? What does that mean? So GMO foods, genetically modified foods, genetically engineered foods. Right? Nature never meant for it to be this way. Now, the shocking thing that if you love genetically modified foods because they're cheaper, they create tumors in all mammals. Don't listen to me, just listen to the work that came out. But you're going to find out why you don't know all this truth in this report today. So many years ago, scientists started altering the food, as we talked about before, taking over the genes from one species, forcing the DNA into another. It's like having a tomato and a fish and slamming those two together. Why would they make a tomato like a salmon or have salmon DNA? Because tomatoes survive frost much better when they have fish blood in them, you see? So the crops have been genetically altered and engineered to produce their own pesticides even that can withstand megadoses of toxic herbicides. Okay, who makes these crops? Biotech companies. It's really simple. We never talk about those guys, but they promised that they would increase crop yields and profits. So many of the farming industry welcomed it with its innovation. Welcome, come on in, poison our food. As a result, in '96, these genetically modified organisms, GMO, spread rapidly to the United States field, which you see is just taken over our country by storm. Not just the country, guys, taken over the world. So the biotech companies who developed them became some of the wealthiest companies in the world. But it's not about money, it's about feeding the world, right? So the biotech companies, they own the seeds. They genetically altered them, so they own them. They're patentable. They have total control of the market. The results are equal billions in sales. Monsanto, which has now been changed names, they had some companies and corporations coming together. 90% of the market, so they dominate the industry. At least they have been. Any farmer who purchases their patented GMO seeds had to sign a contract, which means they cannot keep any seed produced for themselves. Right? So even the saving the leftover seeds like it was done in the past and then taking those old seeds, replanting, they could not do it. Farmers must agree to do this one-time only kind of deal. So because Americans are sold these safe, like they were told these cigarettes were safe, the FDA said they were safe, so hey, what to worry? The FDA said it's good. I will tell you the concern. The FDA allowed these foods on the market with no human studies. Did you read that? No human studies were performed. The government agency has internationally released these potentially unsafe and harmful foods right on your dinner table. Proof. Here's the kicker. There were 44,000 pages of internal memos from the FDA that showed on its own scientists agreed that they would create unpredictable, unsafe, hard to detect allergens, toxins, diseases, and nutritional problems, which means illness. I'm talking about the documents labeled as confidential, read and destroy by one of the biggest GMO firms. So you wonder why people start getting this inflammation, why they start having immune system problems, why these kids have these freak out the peanuts and allergen issues. Well, now you're starting to understand the real story. 80% of your immune system comes from where? Your gut. A lot of gut stuff online these days, so we know definitely it comes from the gut. So if any reason your body sees food as an alien object, doesn't identify with it, something cannot be found in nature, your immune system does what? It attacks it. It's a foreign invader. So this creates an inflammatory reaction. Your body is just defending itself. Right? So since '96, guys, these GMO foods were released onto your plate. Did anybody let you know? Did you see it in Newsweek? Did you see it in any of these news magazines? Did you see it on the nightly news? You know, the news, those guys inform you of all the complete truth all the time. You can easily detect and see direct connections to declines in our health since '96, really about '98, guys. You can see it. Digestive disorders, gut inflammation, all these problems basically just took over the market. So the root cause of chronic illness Medical research shows the common cause of most chronic conditions is hidden inflammation. Most of the root of all this chronic illness is the inflammation. So think of conditions like heart disease, the #1 killer still to this day, obesity, diabetes, dementia, depression, liver damage, cancer, and even autism. Scientists have changed the gene sequence of the food you eat. So making a foreign object come into your body and your immune system is just going nuts. This new food is causing inflammation in your gut. Not just us, guys. Think of your dogs, think of your cats. Look at all the joint problems, inflammation, gut problems with your pets these days. It's the same thing. Could it be the problem? Well, I'm not sure. This might explain why autism has increased 600% since GMO foods came to the market, and why the number of diabetes has tripled in the last 2 decades. Time magazine even announced that inflammation is now the secret killer. If Time magazine said so, it must be true. According to the magazine, it destabilizes cholesterol deposits in the coronary arteries, leading to heart attacks and potentially even strokes. Now, don't take my word for it. Why? Because look at the doctors here. Now, I'm not going to try to pronounce some of these names, but you can read on the chart. We're talking about the world's top biologist at the time, a Harvard-trained doctor, a physician in California. Right? Look at these guys, what they said. GMO food is largely responsible for an increase in serious diseases. Patient health improves when genetically modified foods are done what? Are removed from the diet. They're causing inflammation and bowel problems. Look at all the colon issues today, right? What's the medical's way to deal with the colon? Let's just remove it. Let's just take it out of there. You don't need that thing. Here, wear this bag the rest of your life. Now, milk, those of you still drinking a lot of dairy, especially milk. Now, I don't want to badmouth the farmers out there. The guys are doing the best they can, but if your cows are just walking around injected with all these stuff, guess what happens to the dairy as it comes to you? You're getting all the stuff put into the cow and given directly to you. And one of those things that most of us don't know about is called recumbent bovine growth hormone, BGH, BST, recumbent BST. So this is outlawed in most countries around the world, but not in the good old USA. We want our recumbent bovine growth hormone in our bodies. So for the last 30 years, probably 40 years, cows have been injected with this hormone for one reason: to produce more milk. That's it. It's harmful for the cow and it's harmful for you. Makes the bodies think they're pregnant. So think about it. If you're getting a recumbent bovine growth hormone, the cow thinks it's pregnant. What do pregnant ladies do? They produce milk, right? So the cows are producing more milk and increase the profits. So massive amounts of antibiotics are used because they constantly have infections in the udders, right? Third, it causes cancer. Lots of E. coli is noticed here. So look at all the countries to the bottom. All these countries have basically removed it. But not us, not the United States. So we're the only developed nation that allows it into the cows now, right? How wonderful. The Cancer Prevention Coalition has even submitted several petitions to the FDA asking them to ban this hormone. Of course, they ignored the request. That might explain one of the reasons why the U.S. has the highest rates of cancer in the world. That's right. We're #1. So look at Susan here, what she did. Harvard medical student, right? She said increases developing breast cancer 7-fold in women under 50. This increases a man's risk of developing prostate cancer 9-fold. Dr. Papolino said in Oregon, it's been known for years that this particular hormone is linked to cancer that has all the effects on the endocrine system in a very negative way. You think the FDA at some point would at least add a label that says this could cause cancer. The farms that are producing the hormones are not required to put it on their label, by the way. So in '94, the FDA wrote a regulation requiring that any food label describing the product as a bovine growth hormone free must also include these words. The FDA has determined no significant difference has been shown between milk derived from recumbent bovine growth hormone and non-bovine growth hormone treated cows. They also want you to see that. The worst part is they're consistently covering up the warning from the scientists. Their own scientists saying, please put some warnings out there, and they cover up even their own guys. So guys, these 44,000 pages they put out that were buried by the FDA, that have been uncovered by people like ourselves, said exactly these things. So the FDA has never performed any testing in regards to this growth hormone. In fact, the FDA, John Schneid later admitted to the Associated Press that the agency based their approval simply on a summary provided by Monsanto. Former FDA veterinarian Richard Burrows, Canadian scientists, European Union, they all agreed on one thing: no testing had been properly performed. Surprise, surprise, right? Why would the FDA put all of us, all us Americans here, at risk? Why? Why would they do that to us, right? Is it the politics? No, because they really love us. They love us and want to shield us and protect us from the world around us. It turns out the Deputy Commissioner for the Policy, Michael Taylor, in 1993 had a strong likes to Monsanto. He had worked for the company before joining FDA. After he helped with securing the approval for it, he went back to work for Monsanto as its Vice President for Public Policy. Today, he is back at the FDA. I don't know about today, but he was back then, working closely with the Obama administration, because you see how old this report is, right? The Obama administration on food safety. Perfect guy, right? He's after to protect us. And like I say right here, if you look, you can't make this stuff up. So here you go. Take one little look here. Federal government, Monsanto. So you wonder why nothing really changes in government? Because the ones who make the rules and enforce the rules and the politicians are all the same folks. So if you look right down the middle, all these people serve two masters. Basically, they're serving themselves. You can't make it up, guys. And Hugh Grant, of course, when he was CEO, he was the guy of the year. You got to love this guy. I just wonder, does he eat his own food? That's what I want to know. Of course, you remember this guy. And for 2 decades, they've been covering everything up just to keep us in the dark, to keep us from finding out how dangerous genetically modified foods are. Because that's really what we're about here today. The genetically modified foods, guys. I want you to see. And see the little eyeballs? That's you, because you're in the dark. Let's talk about soybeans. People go, well, I don't eat soybeans. That's not on my menu. Look on any packaged product and just turn over and look at the label. Soybeans, okay? Sugar beets, I don't eat that either. Look on the back of the boxes. Corn syrup, I don't eat corn. Corn's not my diet. Corn. Okay, so all these things that normally that you wouldn't eat. Now some people eat genetically modified corn, but organic corn was okay, you know. So we're going to talk about that a little more, but look at the soybeans. They took the genes from the bacteria, inserted the DNA of soy, creating a new kind of crop that can withstand mega doses of that wonderful herbicide called what? Ready Roundup. So 94% of your soybeans in the United States, can you say the word glyphosate? Okay. Farmers can spray these crops with this herbicide and it will kill all weeds that will not harm the plants. Farmers are stuck with a contract that they have to buy this Ready and have to use this best-selling herbicide. It's been used around the world for so many things, guys, that this is such a horrible product. I can't even begin to tell you which books to read. I could fill up my shelves in my library of all the books that tell you how horrible Roundup is. I've been to seminars by PhD doctors around the world saying how horrible this is. But yet, go down to Home Depot and there it is sitting right on your shelves. Like I said earlier, I don't eat soy, right? But you ever seen vegetable oil on food labels? That's one of the things it's labeled under. It's there in salad dressing, soups, imitation meats, processed foods, cereals, cookies, cakes, chips, crackers, muffins. It's everywhere as a vegetable oil, right? So numerous studies. Now, when you find studies, guys, that actually the scientists weren't kidnapped and hidden away and destroyed and all their grant money taken away and their license taken away and their degrees and put in jail. These people usually are scientists in other countries besides the United States. Like if a scary scientist that would be right now today would be like a nanoscientist, nanotechnology, nanovirology, nanocontaminants. Because if you're a scientist in that area, you probably have a big piece of duct tape on your mouth not talking about what's going on in the world. So look at the UK scientists. What did they say? Linked to digestive problems, headache, lethargy, acne, numerous skin problems. Human studies said altered gene in soy went on to live in your gut. Did you get that? The altered gene went to live in your gut and stay there. Baby formulas. Oh my God, baby formulas have all this in there, right? Formally, with the FDA, toxicology said they warned don't drink the baby infant solutions with all the soy in there, right? You reading that? You're basically a unmonitored human infant experiment. GMO stats. So soybeans were 94% used in U.S., 90% sugar beets, 88% corn are all genetically modified. Or you're starting to understand my concern at this moment. High fructose corn syrups. Now it's high. Do you know why it's called high fructose corn syrup? It's called high because it's more spiritual than regular corn syrup. And it crept into our foods over the years, and it's been there slowly and added up. Now more people are more aware. You're seeing labels that say it contains no high fructose corn syrup, right? And it's been modified to produce its own insecticide. Remember that. The insecticide is in the corn. So wonder why your pets are getting so sick? Because corn is in their food. Since dogs and cats, do they eat corn? If you throw corn on the ground for a cat or dog, do they eat it? I know my dog did not. So look at this bacteria, guys. Scientists took genes from the bacteria and it produces an insecticide and they put it into corn. It's called Bt for short. Corn can now produce its own bacterial toxins. Bt protein. Okay? Corn, cotton, potatoes can now contain this gene inside the plant. They put it inside the plant, right? So the crop itself kills bugs by destroying their gut. How ingenious. Of course, according to FDA, this Bt protein that you're now ingesting yourself is safe. Once again, let's leave the United States and go to UK. Institute of Science and Society has said that Bt kills what? Human kidney cells. And its approval was based upon inadequate safety assessments. You get that? Now let's talk about corn a little more. Okay. Corn can damage the liver and kidneys. According to these guys, don't listen to me, I'm just reading the reports. Hematology diseases, research showing it destroys red blood cells, disrupts blood clotting, causes organ degeneration and tissue damage in mice. Rats who ate the corn, the same you buy in the store, saw 4 times the number of deaths and 80% increase in cancer compared to those who ate conventional corn. They develop horrifying tumors, widespread organ damage, and premature death. There are some of the pictures. Now guys, look at the pictures very close here. This is not just a tumor. Notice where these tumors are. If you look, these are the breast. So these tumors are in the mammary glands of the mouse, these giant rats. Mammary glands. So women, think mammary glands, breast cancer. Toxic pesticides, GMO, the crops found in unborn babies. Scientists found traces of the toxin, 93% in pregnant mothers, 80% in the umbilical cords in one study. This research suggests that chemicals were entering the body through eating meat, milk, eggs from farm livestock that were fed GMO corn. So make sure you know where your corn comes from. That's why Mexico is kicking all the genetically modified corn out and going back to having its greatest. Mexico had some of the best corn in the world, right? And so they were known for corn. So they've kicked out most genetically modified corn out of their country, going back to the organic corn they grew before, just like all their ancestors have grown. Now guys, those who have children, anybody got kids who suffer from ear infections, cough, runny nose, headaches, skin problems, frequent sleepiness, crankiness, sickness, just illness altogether? This is probably a reaction to the hormones in milk, soy proteins, and processed food. Maybe it's high in fructose corn syrup. It's so sweet in everything like cereal and whole wheat bread, because they can make bread taste really good. They put that high fructose corn syrup in it. It tastes better than it normally would. So kids are more sensitive than we are to the genetically modified foods and to the toxins. So just look at what I'm putting here, guys. Milk, soy, corn, high fructose corn syrup. Just start removing these things from your kids' diet. Really, mothers out there, take a strong fist and just start changing out all these things and watch your kids' runny nose go away. Watch their ear infections get better just by changing their food. So 20 years ago, the incident of like all these food allergies kids are having, or let's just say 30 years ago, just was non-existent. All the asthma, ADHD, the behavioral stuff going on, all the autism has dramatically increased in the United States over the years. Okay, I wonder why. Think back when you were a kid. Okay, did you have a peanut allergy? I mean, I can just take a can of Jif and probably stick my whole fist in there and eat it as a kid, and probably a lot of you could too, and did not have a peanut allergy. Did you have problems with milk when you were a kid? Everybody drank milk. Milk was delivered to your door when I was a kid. Right? Today, you cannot send your child to school without a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. They would evacuate the school and probably call a SWAT team in to come get it. This is a strong indication that something is terribly wrong with what? Our food system. It's just allergies. My nose is running today. I have a headache today. I don't feel good because of my allergies. Okay, it's just something in the air. It's just allergies. Okay. Well, according to a lot of other people, it's not just allergies. Look at this doctor here, head of the allergy department at Children's Memorial Hospital in Chicago. I've been treating children in the field of allergy and immunology for 15 years, and in recent years, I've really seen the rates of food allergies skyrocket. Okay, not sure what happened here, guys. Okay, here we go. Something just took place. All right, so more than half the children he cares for have food allergies now. According to the American College of Allergy, Asthma, and Immunology, food allergies often affect more than 6 million children a year in America. That's twice the number of cases since recorded in 2007, as you can see. So the incidence of peanut butter allergy has increased tenfold since 97. All because of GMOs introduced in the soy to the market. Just keep reading. Why have allergies increased? In the decades following the introduction of genetically modified foods, the Center for Disease Control has seen a 265% increase in hospitalizations related to food allergies. A study published in the Journal of Allergy and Clinical Immunology concluded that genetically modified peanuts and soybeans can trigger allergic reactions in the human body. I'm so glad they finally admitted to that. It's simple, there is no mystery. The consumption of genetically modified foods explains the current food allergy epidemic. If word really got out that genetically modified foods are potentially dangerous, I mean, we think about it, but we don't think about it because it becomes so prevalent in the stores. The food companies' billions of dollars in profits would be in serious jeopardy. Why are we not marching in the streets? It's simple, because we're still in the dark. So, the truth is, food supply lies deep in the darkness of the cover-ups. This is created by corporations, lobbyists, politicians. Too much money under the table, guys. The genetically modified crops is a huge market. The last decade alone, once again, Monsanto, the old Monsanto, remember names have changed, controlled 90% of the market. I mean, almost 100% of the market, right? Has made more than 116 billion in sales. They spent in recent years, now once again, older show here, 52 million in lobbying, okay, to make sure they get the most favorable legislation possible. It seems like things have paid off. So yes, of course, there's politics in food. The New York Times said the White House worked behind the scenes to help Monsanto get regulations that they wanted. The New York Times said that, not me. They are the revolving door, and you saw the two as they came together. The FDA welcomes past and future executives from the food industry. They literally write their own food policies, all working together as one. Wow, see, governments can work together when they have a common cause. See, the current deputy commissioner, old commissioner of the FDA, the former Monsanto employee, imagine that. This is the key regulator and the charge of your food safety. He has the ability to control what goes on your plate. In '92, when the FDA approved GMOs, the agency claimed that there was an overall consensus about scientists that the GMO food was safe. Overall consensus. In '98, the lawsuit forced 44,000 pages of the internal files from the FDA to the public domain. The memos that were recovered reported that the scientists had urged the FDA to perform long-term safety studies to protect against possible allergens, toxins, new diseases, and nutritional problems. In those documents, one thing was certain, guys. Scientists after scientists all agreed that the crops were not safe. They didn't want them entering the market. That comes is from the FDA scientists as well. It was one thing simple. It was just politics that approved the release of these to the market. If you're one of the naive Americans that think the FDA is here to protect you, then why would they allow food companies to determine the safety of their genetically modified foods? Let's talk about the labels. It should be on the label, right? Everything should be on the label. If I'm reading it, it all needs to be there. Well, all these lobbyists make sure those labels don't get on there, which you really need to have on there and see. So Executive Director of the Internal Center for Technology Assessment stated, by failing to require testing and labeling of genetically engineered foods, the FDA has made consumers unknowingly guinea pigs for potentially harmful food substance. 8 renowned international experts have also stated that the genetically modified companies and evaluation committees systematically overlook the side effects of genetically modified foods and the pesticides. The studies all greatly underestimate the initial signs of disease, cancer, hormone, immune, nervous system production problems. Research. Most food is funded by who? The guys who make it. Yes, you got it. The big food companies, including conferences and fellowships. Private funding will greatly affect the outcome and the way scientists think, act, and publish. Because remember, if you're a scientist and I get paid by these guys to do the research, do you think I want to keep my job? Of course. So I'm going to make the report look really positive that this is safe. These scientists do this work. They know who's funding them and why their published reports are vital to their own job. They will taint the outcomes by simply looking at the independence of the work, which is not. One neat little trick is to systematically block researchers from using the patented seeds for research. Who controls the research? Good question. The Union of Concerned Scientists, they stated that companies like Monsanto, Syngenta have often refused to provide independent scientists with seeds. And they set restrictive conditions that severely limit research options. They are multi-billion-dollar agricultural corporations that control everything. 26 researchers from different universities who wrote letters to the Environmental Protection Agency protesting that no independent studies have been performed and there's restrictions to seeds. These companies choose who does their research. It's that simple. They will also destroy the reputation and careers of any scientist who stands in the way. Now look at this biology here. Arpad. He's a great example. I've read some of his work, guys. He was probably the biggest known guy back in his day. He has more than 300 articles, 12 books to his credit, and was the world's top expert in this area. He conducted a study in the 90s that showed rats who ate GMO foods developed potentially precancerous cell growth, smaller brains and testicles, partially atrophied livers, and damaged immune systems. Top guy, right? Well, that wasn't him, but his career was destroyed. That footage is actually from 13 doctors who said something else years ago. We'll talk about that another time. So this guy displayed his research on national TV back then. 2 days later, he was fired, silenced, and had threats of a lawsuit. With his team dismantled and a smear campaign to destroy his reputation, the government and big corporations did what? They just smashed him, right? This is the reason why most Americans have no idea that things are actually dangerous. Hey, my doctor said it's safe. I hear that one every day, guys. So labels again, 93% Americans said, yes, we want things to be labeled. We should have genetically modified organisms on all these labels. It's just say it on the label. They're not labeled because the efforts of the FDA, the biotech companies, they think you don't need to know that it's actually harmful. They think that you don't need to know what the ingredients are. So we're being denied the fundamental right to know what's in our food. A right that more than 50 other nations, including China and Russia, offer this to their citizens. By the way, Russia, you say whatever you want to, they became one of the largest organic food distributors in the world. Russia. So Americans have no clue what the food they're eating most of the time, but 70% of processed foods contain these genetically modified organisms. They lack the labels, you get kept in the dark, and it's just like the way these biotech companies, they want to keep it that way. The result is that millions of Americans, children and adults, are unknowingly consuming potentially dangerous food products every day. So there are some solutions besides horrifying you and making you feel really bad about food and having a really dark and demented day. I like to add a little bit of light on the subject for now. Guys, this report I'm giving you is very, very long. I gave you the it seems long, but this is the very, very short version of it, because we could talk a long time. There's several books that I've read on this. Like I said, there's a library about this when they came out in the early 90s, and it was all bad news. But the idea is people say, well, it's just conspiracy, right? That seems to be the word these days, conspiracy. But it seems like conspiracy to me these days, conspiracy equals truth, because the facts are there, and we didn't even get involved in what we call the terminator seed. So one of the books we read specifically was about a terminator seed. When the plant finished, it terminated its own seed. It killed itself. So the farmers couldn't reuse the seeds to replant them. They would terminate. And one politician years ago was actually like a botanist or something, and she said, what if this cross mutates with natural things and our trees and our plants and other foods start terminating themselves? This has potential to like destroy the earth. Was it important? Remember, terminator seed. That's a subject we'll talk about another day. So eat more healthy, saturated fats, the good fats, the real butter, olive oil, coconut oil, right? These kind of things, guys. Avoid the polyunsaturated. Avoid the corn, guys. Anything that has corn oil, just avoid it like the plague. Soybean oil, anything heated oxidized. In your olive oil, if you use it, just heat it lightly. You can heat it, but just like I cook an egg in the mornings, cook it in olive oil at a low heat. Coconut oil has a high heat ratio. Eat fewer carbohydrates, sugar added sweeteners, high fructose corn syrup. Consume more omega-3s. Drink more water, take enzymes with your meals, take turmeric, eat more probiotics all the time for your gut, no matter what anybody tells you, what any other doctor or specialist says, don't eat probiotics. Guys, you need to eat probiotics. Everybody needs them today. Eat more green foods. Consume more organic foods. The number one organic food is apples, by the way. It has the highest amount of pesticides, so if you're eating any apples, they be 100% that way. Look for non-GMO project verified on the seal. Don't buy corn, soy, canola, cottonseed, any of those things. Packaged and processed foods, try to stay away from the best you can. This guy suggested move to Washington or Vermont. Okay, I don't say you need to move, but these states pretty much stand by their labeling laws more than others and protect their citizens for their food better. Cleansing, clean your enzymes, clean your colon, clean your liver and gallbladder. Use enzyme therapy, enzyme with your food, enzyme without food to help clean up the blood. Parasite, candida yeast cleanses, toxic metal cleanses. Of course, probiotics I mentioned again, and then get your get that lymphatic system open and running, guys. 10 foods to never eat. Look at farm-raised fish. Stay away from farm-raised fish, guys. Papaya, ractopamine is what's in meat a lot of times. Flame-retarded drinks, okay? Guys, it goes on and on. The dairy products especially. Just avoid all dairy. The big three: wheat, sugar, dairy. If you want to do the big three, there's the big three I recommend. There's the stats again. These are old stats, guys. Like I said, it's an old video, but I want you guys to see it because this still relates to what's happening right now. These are the medical organizations that decide your health. Food and Drug, the AMA, the National Institute of Health, National Cancer Institute, American Cancer Society, all these are the official medicine. Okay, notice it's not official health. Health is the natural guys. This is the official medicine. Okay, official health is none of these guys. Okay, other stats for you to look at. There's me. I have an FDA agent enter my office one day. There he is. Okay, and there's the other FDA. When he came in the office, that was my preventive care. Get rid of this. I'm just joking, guys. These are all jokes. And there we go. Smile. Guys, have a great day. See y'all next time around.